Okay, my friends, get ready. I just got this from Rosita. A friend sent this to me. And now these are rock faces in a museum in Japan. And here's what they're showing for these faces. Alright, now, I have things that look like faces too. But I also know of faces that are faces, that are not just rocks that look like faces. I have some here. You could even see a face in something like that. You know what I mean? I know what this is, a bone head, the head of a bone. All right, and they have these holes in them. They look like eyeballs and little lips and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm going to show you some real heads. And they are stone, but they're real. Okay, so that's the museum in Japan, and these are all heads. Well, I'm going to show you some that cannot be disputed. This is the Mitchell Hedges. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's just start with the one that I originally started with, was from Arlie Caudle down in Kentucky. Jim Burchell presented this head along with Arlie on TV on the History Channel. They dismissed it in less than 1 minute, and that was it. It was done. It was, well, anyway, forget about it. You see his nose is splashed out open there? See how that's splayed open right there? And the blood is coming out on the side of his nose. Now, who would carve that? They said, oh, that's just carved. And I dealt with, well, it was Scott Walter. And I got involved, and I said, no, this is blood. And he said, oh, no, it's just iron staining. I said, what do you think is blood? Blood is virtually saturated with iron, and it's black. They call it bone black. And his head is caved in here. It was, I mean, in less than 1 minute on national TV, it was done. This was on the History Channel. And we actually had this CAT scanned and everything else, and still nobody would pay any attention to it. And I felt really bad because I went against Scott Walter. We went back and forth several times, and it just ended up, I'm the expert, get lost. Just like everybody. Same story. Now that is a head, and that's authentic. And now I'm going to show you some that are going to just blow you out of your socks. Get ready. Hold on tight. You see that? This was long before AI. And I just got to see this before it was sold to a private collector. This to me looks like the throat got ripped open here. All right? This is the throat area. I understand fully this scaling. That's because the skin, and then you have the interstitial layer underneath, and then you get to the basement layer. I see this all the time. These eyes are stunning. And you see all the little bumpy looking stuff? There's also, well, I'll show you that in a minute, and I'll reference that. But remember all this scaly looking bumpy stuff. And that throat looks to me like it got ripped out. I mean, and it looks like it has red blood, just like all of them. Everything I found has red blood. Every one of them. Now, is this some kind of a spacesuit? Here's the other picture of this, and this is all I got. And the next day it was sold and gone. I wanted to know and get some details. And this is also red blood underneath the scalp. Now, this is that head with these stunning eyes, and it almost looks like it has 2 ears or something, or a strange looking ear. And here's where that red stuff was on the top of his head, and that's all that scaly look to it. This could almost be an injury. And he might have a spacesuit on or something. You see this? This is very interesting looking, and I saw that in the other picture as well. We'll go back to it in a second. Could this be some kind of a spacesuit? I don't know. I have no idea. But remember, I think that could be an injury. And all the rest is just what I showed you before. Now, this looks like it could be a spacesuit or something. What's coming around there? That's not part of him, I don't think. And this is doing the same thing, sort of hugging around him. But this absolutely looks like it's just torn off his body at that position, but it's hard to say for sure. But I'm going to tell you right now, again, this could be an injury. That is a definite hole in the cheek where there should be a bone. Ours would have a bone right there. And that looks like whatever happened there. And that could be bone black. Anyway, that's whatever that is. So now there's one head. Wait till you see this one. All right, two things to understand here. This head, you see all this little flaky looking stuff? I said to look at it on that other head, has the same sort of thing. Now, it's cut flat as a pancake, like it was sculptured, but this is not sculptured, and that I can show right here because there's the underneath. That's an artery. There was an artery there. All right, and this head is kind of small, but that was where an artery was, and you can see the neck is here. All right, this is a head. I believe this is real. You can see an artery going up through the neck. Now here's one that is exceptional, and I worked with her, and she sent me a whole batch of pictures. Here's the head. Now, this thing's real, and there's no question about it. This different texture of skin is in different areas, in the eyebrows, in the eyes, in the lips, and so forth. But it's only when it gets wet. It's got to be wet to see this stuff. You see how you can see some bloody looking stuff coming out of here? You see the crease in the beak and all that stuff, whatever you want to call that. And it's got a crown. That crown is built in. That's not something that's sitting on top of there like a helmet. Now, this is where some blood is leaking out down here because it's wet. When they're wet, they run blood out of them. Now, how can I tell it's real for sure, 100%? Two different ways. First of all is all this different texturing. Just like Caesar here. He's got the different, when I put water on him, he changes it to very easy to see it better. You can see his eye better and all that stuff. And the same thing with that. When that was dry as a bone, it looks totally fake. It is not fake. And here's why I can prove that it's not fake. Because of underneath. All right? So what would underneath do for me? Well, and because all of these things I'm finding, they're red-blooded. And this thing has a crack in the back of its head too, which I will show you, red blood coming out. You see you got vein and artery on both sides coming up to surface. These are not all that different than humans. So would we find that in this? Yes, we do, right there. There's the artery, there's the vein coming up one side. And there's one on the other side too, just like I showed you in the anatomical. You see that red blood? That's black, and you know, the black doesn't flow around, it just stops in its own little pocket. The red just runs all over. Red it stays fluid virtually forever. And so that's that. On the bottom of this neck. Now, what else can we see on the bottom of the neck? All right, you see all this gold stuff. She dolled it up like a head and put a crown on it and all this stuff. Now, again, there's a vein and an artery over here. You can't see them well until you put them under the microscope. And there's one over here. Now, look at this. You got to take time. Take your time. You see this circle right here? You see that circle right there? All right. These are both the vertebra, the neck going up. All right, you got to have a neck going down below, coming down here. Now this one has, you can see them on both sides. Now, is that normal for a human being? I don't know. But I can see them on both sides. You see the one here and one here. You don't just have one off this side and nothing over here. That one there you can't see as well, but this one you can see very easily. Now, what else do we see? In front of the back of your neck, because this is the back of the head. This is the front. And it's cut flat as a pancake. And that, it is what it is. Now, why it's flat like that, I don't know. But I can tell you what, this right here is the throat. And I believe it has a forked tongue. You see it? That's the throat coming up. So we've got his chin, we got the throat coming up, we got the tongue, boom, boom. We got the neck bones, we got the arteries and the veins, we got the colors of the blood. It is something that was alive. This is not, you know, dry, you really can't tell a lot. You need things to be wet, and this is not as wet as it should be either, but at least you can see it pretty well. That head is alive. It was alive at one time. Now, here's another way I can tell you, and this is probably why it died. The head's cracked in the back. You see it? It's cracked. You see the red blood running out of it? Somebody smashed that thing in the back of its crown, which is like a carapace, and almost like a cobra or something. Very strange, 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 strange. I mean, what can I say? It's strange. Now, I know the girl that has this, and if somebody's interested, I don't know if she's interested in doing anything with it. She's had this for quite some time, so I don't know. Now, this is the eyebrow, and it's different. You can tell the different textures. The creases where things moved and creased, they will take on a different texture and a different color and all that stuff. So I don't think I've missed anything here. Now, let me just throw you a couple things. Here's one which appears to be a dinosaur of some sort, or a dragon's skull. And it's coming around this way. It looks pretty obvious to me. I don't know if it is or not, but it could be something else. But it looks like it has a dragon's skin or some kind of scaly stuff. So let's not worry about that. This is what I mean. These are the kind of things you're guessing. The other thing, there's no guess here. There's no guesses about these. And there's no guesses about the crystal skull. This is all the fibers that are inside the skull. Okay, sorry about that. That's real. And the cerebrum back here is pushed forward because it was laying on its face, and the lip and nose and all that is bent back. It was tipped up this way. All of this is identical nerve fibers. There's no way they could put those inside. It's impossible. This turned into flawless silicates. Now, this was in a very, very exceptional condition. I have a silicon heart here. All right, this is a silicon heart. This is the superior vena cava. Right there is where the aorta comes up, and there's still some blood there. And I've shown this many, many times, and it is definitely, no question whatsoever, this is a silicon heart, but it's not as good as this one. This thing here is just absolutely flawless. And sometimes they will become extremely clear like this quartz crystal, and that's what happened to this. There's no way they could have put that inside like that brain scan shows. If you look at it and just think, you realize that they're missing it. Plus, they say it was fake because there's lines. They can see lines going down. That is the aponeurosis tendon. You have a aponeurosis tendon on your skull. There's lines going straight back. That's just natural. I've shown this. There's no question about it. Look it up, aponeurosis tendon on the skull. All right, here's a couple other quickies I can show you. This one here, I think I showed you already. All of that marbling looking stuff, that's natural. And that was a real head. That wasn't a carved head. And this one here, this goes back to long before there was AI, and long ago, these pictures I got. And this head was down, I think it's in Bolivia or somewhere. And I believe, well, I know for a fact, they used it for our target practice with cannons. And they blew it all up. So that's not around anymore, but that's a pretty good sized guy. Now, here's something here. I don't know if this is right or not. This could be just a look-alike thing. I don't know. It does look like it had a nose on there or something. I don't know. You know, these are the ones you don't know. I can't make any claims about that, but these I can absolutely make claims. No question whatsoever. The blood is here, artery and vein coming down his neck. His throat is there. The tongue is there. The blood is coming out of the back of his head. That crack right there in the back of his head is red blood coming out of there. That's the thing. Red blood just never seems to go away. The red blood is the preservative. And of course I showed you where arteries and veins are. There's just no question. Now this one here, I got to think that his throat was torn right out. Because when you look at the throat, it's pretty red and bloody. Where'd it go? You see way down here? That to me looks like that's from a creature's body, and this looks like it's not. Whether he had a helmet on, or I don't know. Who the hell knows? One other thing I wanted to show you, I got to remember what. Oh yeah, this one here. I think this is on Easter Island, and flesh will band like this. It's called iron banding, and your flesh, your red bloody flesh, is literally loaded with iron. And when it settles, the red pushes the black away, and you get these lines. That is not uncommon. Not uncommon at all. And I guess that's it. I guess that's it, my friends. We'll call it a day, my friends. And it's a brand new day. A brand new day. That's some kind of blood running out of it. He was either laying on its side at one time or who knows what. But you can see it's sitting on moss. You see how moss loves red blood. The moss is just sucking the red blood out of him. Or the red blood's running out and the moss is just loving it. Well, anyway, that's it. And I have a lot of other ones that are just, some of them are absolutely enormous, and I'm quite sure they're quite real. But this is about it for today. I think I have about run out of gas. We'll talk later, my friends.